Imposter syndrome. Every person at some point in their life has doubt about their capabilities, even with all the confirmation of all the things that they've accomplished. There's always this level of doubt. I've heard it from celebrities. Celebrities have imposter syndrome. I've heard it from persons who are highly educated and still don't think that they have all the qualifications. I've heard it from women. I've heard it from men. And so I understand it is something that we all deal with. And I deal with it as well. I decided what better way to beat imposter syndrome than to talk about it. So, what is imposter syndrome? We talk about it a lot. It has become a buzzword and all these different things. What is imposter syndrome? The internet tells us imposter syndrome is a common phenomenon, where individuals doubt their abilities and have a persistent fear of being exposed as a fraud, despite evidence of their competence. Overcoming imposter syndrome takes time and it takes effort. And so today, I wanted to share some strategies of how to beat imposter syndrome. And I have my notes here. So we're going to go through and we're going to learn. Are you ready? Hit that button below, subscribe, like, and comment because that helps this channel do well. It helps more people find the information. I want to get to know you. So go ahead, like, subscribe, and comment. There are 8 ways to attack imposter syndrome and overcome it. Now, it's going to take time and practice, but I think if you do these 8 things consistently, you will be able to overcome imposter syndrome, or at least you will have a better handle on imposter syndrome, and it's not something that will cripple you anymore. You will be able to surpass it. You will be able to push through it. You will be able to act through it. And essentially, it will just become background noise as opposed to the thing that lives front and center in your life and paralyzes you. The first way is to acknowledge it, because without acknowledging anything, you won't have the awareness that it is present. You won't be able to face it, and therefore you won't be able to deal with it. Acknowledge that you're feeling the fear of being a fraud. Acknowledge that you're having doubt about your competence. Acknowledge that even with all the information, with all the feedback that you've amassed through your life, through your different careers, through your family members, your friends, your workmates, your clients, whoever it is, that you still have this sense of, I don't think I can do this, or I don't think I'm enough, or I don't think I'm good enough, or I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I should start now. I think I should wait. And you spend your time looking at other people and watching other people doing it, knowing that you can also do it yourself, right? But you spend a lot of time looking at other people and essentially feeling resentment within yourself that you can't to stand up and do this thing. And if you find yourself feeling those things, imposter syndrome may be present, and it's time to look at it and acknowledge it. Number 2, get to the root of the problem. So often when imposter syndrome comes up, or doubt or lack of confidence comes up, it's coming from somewhere. It's not starting today. It's starting from somewhere way back in your life where originally somebody may have told you something that made you feel less confident about yourself. Something may have happened. Maybe you had an event of failure and you let that moment in time define your identity or define who you are or your performance, as opposed to just observing it as a moment of failure. It could have come from your childhood. Maybe you have, because of your upbringing or your parents, you have a lack of trust, or you have a lack of confidence. Maybe you were bullied in school, and so you feel as though you don't have the power to command anything or to command people. It could come from a myriad of things, but you have to ask those questions. You have to ask, where did this idea first come from? Why do I have doubt? What is it that I'm doubtful about? What is it that I'm hiding from? Or what is my fear? What is my fear? I'm fearful of looking stupid. Where did that first come from? Where did you first feel like you looked stupid? Or who first told you that you were stupid or dumb, or whatever negative talk in your mind that you've convinced yourself? Because our minds can be very cruel. That critic inside of us can be very cruel. So where did that voice first come from? Those are the questions that you want to ask. And when you get to the root of it, it makes it so much easier to grow beyond it, because now you can isolate from it. Now you've separated it from yourself. It's no longer your identity, but more you're looking at yourself from a third person's perspective or from an objective perspective. So where did this particular thing come from, as opposed to I am this particular thing? You have to ask, where did this first come from, so that you are then able to deal with it, and then deal with it accordingly. Because once you get to the root, and your root might be different from my root, so we might have to use different tactics to deal with it or to heal, or we might have to be very specific in relation to whatever it is that comes up. But once we are able to do that, then we can cater to it. Then we can approach it, we can attack it, we can overcome it with very specific tools and practices. Number 3 is address the thing specifically. And that's a bit of what I was talking about just now. You have to know specifically how to approach things. So if your issue is trust, then you have to be very specific in rebuilding trust. How do you rebuild trust? You rebuild trust in yourself. That's how it starts. So you feel as though maybe you don't trust the world or you don't trust people. Trust in the world and trust in people, crazy as it sounds, starts with trusting yourself, right? You have to be able to rely on yourself. So what do you do to build trust? One way of building trust is through action. You have to keep showing up for yourself. Every single time you show up for yourself, through keeping something as simple as keeping your morning routine, or going to the gym every day, or when you say you're going to go to the gym, or when you say you're going to help a friend, or when you say you're going to show up, or when you say that you're going to attend, that you actually do those things. Those very small things are so critical in creating the big picture of trust within yourself. And so once you know that you can rely on yourself, you approach the world in a much more confident way. And when you do meet moments of maybe mistrust in people, you're able to separate it from yourself. You're able to depersonalize it and see that, okay, maybe that person doesn't have certain qualities within themselves, and that is why this situation was to occur. But I trust myself, and I can trust me, and I can trust myself to handle this situation of mistrust, instead of being consumed by it, instead of being crippled by it, instead of preventing growth in your life because you're taking all these experiences in the world so personally. So that's one area of trust. You address that. Another way of, for persons who are very competent, who've amassed accolades or educational credits and all these different things, and you still doubt yourself, affirm yourself by reminding yourself who you are, reminding yourself of all the things that you've done, that you've overcome everything that has been a challenge before now, and you're here now. So you can do hard things. You can achieve things. You have completed things. You have gotten this degree or this bit of education. You did do well. You did pass that thing. You do have an honors in that. So you affirm yourself, remind yourself. And if you don't learn to do that for yourself, you cannot wait on the world to do it for you. If you can't affirm yourself, the world is not going to do it for you. And that's one of the most important things about this whole healing experience, is understanding that a lot of these things start within. So number 4 is make a list of all your achievements. And I love this. I've done this. I've tried this. I can pull up my phone right now and show you guys that I have a list within here. And they could be small, they could be big, from as young as 4 years old, 3 years old, all the way up to whatever age you are right now. List it out. You will not understand how much wonders this will do for you. And you keep it on your phone. I have a whole long list, and I add to it. Every time I get an achievement, I add to it and I keep it in my notes section. Because in those moments where I feel doubt, I have something that I can go back to, that can remind me. But more than that, I think because life is so complex and we go through different stages of life and we go through different phases of life and we become different people over time, we tend to forget. We tend to forget all the things that we've done. So I think that this is a good example. This is a good practice to remind yourself of all the things you've achieved. And you have that there. You have empirical evidence for your self-doubt. And if you've achieved so much before, there's so much more that you can achieve in the future. This is not the end. So make that list. Okay. Number 4, that's one of the most important practices. So be sure to do it. If you want to pause this video and do it right now, do it. And then you can come back to the video, but make sure you get it done. So, and we want to share this with other people as well. So go ahead, make that list. Number 5 is another critical way of beating imposter syndrome. And I mentioned it a little earlier today. I gave you a little clue. In beating imposter syndrome, you have to do. You have to do. And what does do mean? Do means taking action. Confidence cannot be built without taking action. Confidence isn't something that is not just a matter of positive thinking. Positive thinking gives you inspiration. It gives you motivation. But action backed by motivation, backed by inspiration, builds confidence. So you have to take action. Even if that first action is mediocre, even if it's not your best, even if it's not perfect, you have to take it. You have to show up. Because remember I said earlier that until you show up for yourself, you won't be able to trust yourself. You won't be able to have that self-reliability, right? And so confidence is similar. You have to build confidence by taking action. The more you take action, the more you are sure, the more you get evidence and feedback from life that you're on the right path, that you're doing the right thing, and that you're capable. That's the root of imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome makes us convinced that we're not capable. And it's such a lie. And so action on a daily basis, action in the direction of your dreams, action in the area of your fear, action in spaces where you wish you could do more, but you haven't. Action in all those places where you feel less confident will build confidence. Trust me, guys, it will build confidence. And I'm doing it with you. I have so much knowledge, so much information, so much expertise across so many different areas of my life. I have been an entrepreneur for a very long time. I've been a lawyer in my life. I've done criminal law, I've done family law, I've done entertainment law, I've sold properties, I've managed a 24 property portfolio, I've started businesses, I've worked in tourism, I've managed artists, I have been a model, I've traveled the world, I've lived in 5 countries, I'm a coach, I'm a certified coach, I have coached clients, I've watched them achieve things, I have partnered with people and helped them start their business. I am the liaison or the go-to, the facilitator, the connector of so many businesses, seeding into new environments. I have a wealth of knowledge, and I've done deep therapy, deep training in therapy and in personal development. And so I have all the information. And some days I keep telling myself, maybe I'm not just ready. And this is a thing that women tend to do a lot. Women tend to doubt their readiness, whereas men might jump in head first and figure it out after. And so we have to get there, women. We have to say yes and just show up and do it. Okay? I'm holding you to it. Number 6 is celebrate small victories. So after you do and you get into the action and all these different things, you are going to achieve small victories. Part of the victory is showing up. So whether you're doubting that a victory might actually come, the first victory is showing up. And every small victory that occurs, you celebrate it. Celebrate it. It could be something small. It could be a glass of wine. It could be a gift. You could purchase something for yourself. You could invite your friends to celebrate. You can share it with someone. But whatever you do, however you do it, celebrate small victories. And each celebration of these small victories paves the way for the other victory to come, right? It gives you, again, it builds on confidence. It reminds you of the things that you can achieve. It allows you to pause in the moment as well and to acknowledge that you did this, that this was once a fear. You overcame it, you put some action behind it, and now you have a victory to celebrate. And so it is further affirmation, further proof that you are capable, that you are competent, and that you are needed. Number seven is keep a record of positive feedback. This, like your list of achievements, is very important. So we get feedback throughout life, especially if you're like a coach like myself, your clients give you feedback all the time. It's important to keep a folder of those things. If you're working in an office, you have your performance records, your performance review. It's important to keep a record of the positive feedback of what you're doing in life. You get to see yourself through other people's eyes. You get feedback as to how you're showing up. And I think that's part of the fear that we all originally have, is that we don't quite know how we're showing up. We know how we want to, but we don't understand fully how the world is receiving us. And so keeping a record of positive feedback could do wonders for your self-confidence and for beating imposter syndrome. And number 8, and the final one, is be a constant learner of life. And this could involve you going back to school to learn a new skill or enhancing a skill that you already have. Continuing to read and expand your mind, because once you have the knowledge, that knowledge gives you confidence. Like, you know that you can go into this scenario and that you have the knowledge to speak to a particular thing, or you have the knowledge to show up and really compete, or you have the knowledge to give valid feedback or give valid voice to your thoughts, to your opinions, that you can contribute in a valuable way. And so be a constant learner of life. This is a standalone principle across the board for all areas of life. You have to be a constant learner of yourself, be a constant learner of your craft, and be a constant learner of the persons in your life, your relationships. You want to continue to build. And as long as you continue to grow, as long as you continue to expand and equip yourself with information, you will have the confidence to show up. It is a very strong foundation of beating imposter syndrome. And so that's it. Those are the 8 things, and you can apply 1 to 8 of all those things. Whatever it is, you just have to get started. That is my encouragement for you today. Just get started on 1 of those things, on 2 of those things, on all 8 of those things. I can guarantee you that if you put all 8 of those things into practice, that you will show up and show out. And imposter syndrome will be a thing of the past. So that's it from me today. Our life tool on how do you beat imposter syndrome. Let's get rid of it. It's a thing of the past. Let's not carry it into the future. It's certainly not helping us. It's impeding us. We don't want it. Leave it behind. We're not taking. Commit to that. Affirm. It is not our story. Imposter syndrome is not our story. We're leaving it behind. Go on your path. Be great. Be your best. Become your best.